Hey everybody, it's Bust with Busted Strategies number 24, doing another Innistrad draft. Let's jump on in. So yeah, exciting stuff. Worlds is today. Well, previous day by the time the video comes out. Have to get that watched while we're not making videos and stuff. Hopefully it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know how the format works anymore. Like the last time I used to follow competitive Magic, it was kind of like a 3-day event where you're playing like standard, modern, and limited. I don't think that's really the case anymore. The only notes I've had from Worlds are just the big leak of all the deck lists a little bit early, which is kind of unfortunate. But nonetheless, back to the draft here. This looks like a pretty easy Liesa to jump in and take. As far as these cards go, she's pretty bomby. I mean, even if she didn't have this ability that just makes all your creatures return back, we'd still be pretty happy to play this. Like, she's kind of tough on the white mana, but 4/5 flying lifelinks just absolutely dominate so many games. Very happily take her. Not really missing out on too much in that sense. Baneblade Scoundrel just doesn't play well in this format, in my opinion. Clear Shot's fine, but I don't think it's a first pick compared to Liesa. And then looking at these, maybe we'll get to table a Lunark Veteran or a Hobbling Zombie. We'll have to kind of see, even the Cathar Commando. And if you caught, kind of our previous draft video, the big thing we're going to have to kind of look for here is if we're going to draft, base white, kind of figuring out if we're going to be in some kind of aggressive white deck, or if we're going to be in the more kind of like control-y aristocrat style white black deck. I mean, we could still pivot out, but we're gonna it's gonna take a lot of work for us to not want to play white black once we've drafted Liesa. And I think Siege Zombie is exactly the kind of card that we can use to call this out with. This is not a particularly aggressive unit in an aggressive white-based white black deck. It's not gonna get the job done. It's a bear. You may get an activation out of it once or twice across the entirety of the draft, and it's not that interesting. But if we do end up in the more kind of like control-y version where we're out here trying to build this like mega board of things like Odric's Outrider, the Sacrifice Outlet, Ghoul Procession, whatever, like this variety of cards where we're just getting this big stalled board and getting a big engine of sacrifice stuff, then Siege Zombie works fine. And so I think that's kind of one of the places I've been struggling is really just kind of like figuring out which of these decks that we're going to land in. Okay, so interesting set here. We're just going to take the Infernal Grasp. This is um, just a top-notch removal spell, and we don't have any up to this point. But this, if we just say like Infernal Grasp wasn't in the pack, this leaves us in this spot that I'm particularly talking about here. Is if we're going to end up in the aggressive deck, then we most certainly want Candlegrove Witch. Like Hobbling Zombie, Digraph Horde are not good aggressive units. But if we do end up in the more board stally kind of deck, then at this stage, I probably lean towards the Hobbling Zombie. I mean, Digraph Horde is a tough pass, but we've already picked up a 5-drop. I'm not sure. I mean, I'd probably just bite the bullet and have 2 5-drops at this point and take the Digraph Horde. But this is kind of exactly what I'm talking about in the sense that if we're being aggro, we want this Candlegrove Witch, and if we're going to be more slow and control-y, we probably want the Digraph Horde. But definitely one of those slower options. Okay, I mean, things continue on. We're not passing on too much here in the sense that, we aren't getting abused for just like hard forcing white black after opening Liesa. This is like the second Storm Skrillex that's rolled through. So we could have, a potentially interesting white red deck on our hands or blue red deck on our hands. But otherwise, I don't feel like I've passed anything that makes me upset or like we're falling out of line with our cards here. But I think it's fine to just continue on with the zombies theme and pick up the Hobbling Zombie. We should be able to hopefully take advantage of some of these zombies on board. We haven't seen any of the sacrifice cards up to this point, but if we're in white-black, it gives us a pretty reasonable way to go about those. Okay, here's our first sacrifice card here in the Ecstatic Awakener. And I'm pretty sure this is the take here. Kind of the thing that we ran into in our previous video with white black was we ended up with just like 5 1s and 2 drops, and so I think we kind of want to go out of our way to ensure that we have enough. There is decent blue in this pack, seeing a ton of blue show up with both Startle and Revenge of the Drowned. Even Flip the Switch is quite nice, and so we may want to consider switching into blue-black if the packs keep showing up like this, but at this point, none of these cards compare to the power level of Liesa. Alright, which one's the cut purse? This kills stuff, right? Yeah, this dude is, in general, pretty annoying. He comes into play and destroys something that was dealt damage, and then the flying Death Touch on the flip side is quite powerful. So, happy enough to take it. It makes me feel, I mean, black has been pretty strong up to this point, and it makes me continue to think that it's reasonably open. Okay, so here, I like Homestead Courage, but I'm going to go with the Silver Bolt. We only have the 1 removal spell up to this point with the Infernal Grasp. I'd like to make sure that we have a little bit more. And again, I mean, the blue looks kind of open here. These are fairly late for the Startles and the Locked in the Cemeteries, and we haven't seen any good white cards up to this point, so we may need to think to switch into blue-black and abandon this Liesa. We'll have to kind of see how these play out. Vampire Interloper's fine. Again, if we're in the aggressive white-black deck where we're looking for Coven Candle Guards and aggressive cards, then the Interloper would be good. In this style of deck, I don't think we're going to end up playing it. Here, just a reasonable Silver Bolts again. Otherwise, I'm not going to play the Celestus Sanctifiers. Oh, Esper cards. Let's see. And another Interloper. I don't think that we ever end up in the aggressive deck from this point forward, but I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Like, the only thing that we really have in terms of not wanting to be aggressive would be something like Hobbling Zombie. Like, Siege Zombie's still a reasonable card, so let's keep that in our mind. I mean, we only have the 1 sacrifice card up to this point, and the Awoken Demon. We'll keep the Geist Wave in the main just in case the blue cards show up, but cool. Interesting little set. All right. Oh, look at all these. Look at all these gems. So, Graveyard Trespasser is quite good. Having these remove abilities is pretty strong. Just acing flashbacks out of your opponent's graveyard. And then the ward is quite relevant if you ever want to just remove it. So that's an interesting take. There's also the Morbid Opportunist here, which I'm not... Like, if we're in, you know, the white-black control-y style deck, Morbid Opportunist is just like one of the actual best cards we could ever have. But, like, with how that last pack played out, I'm not sure that that's where we're going to be. Like, especially looking at a pack like this where we could potentially wheel Flare of Faith or Search Party Captain. Like, I think it's probably safer just to take the Graveyard Trespasser. But, like, if we go into the next pack and found, like, an Odric's Outrider, I think we're, like, really going to regret passing on this Opportunist. Even with packs like these, I mean... It's pretty tough. I'm not taking a Sun Gold Barrage here. I'm looking at just taking the Gavany Trapper, but I kind of want to think about this Cathar Commando a little bit. I think the Trapper is probably the way to go. I would, at the end of the day, I'd rather have 1 Trapper before I'd have 1 Cathar Commando, but I feel like we're just like more and more slowly gonna turn ourselves into an aggro deck here. All right, so there's the Trapper. This pack is hot garbage. There's nothing a white, black, or blue deck would really be interested in. Just tons and tons of red cards. So let's just take the combat trick here in the Blessed Defiance and forget that pack ever existed. Okay, well, I'm good to go with the Duelcraft Trainer. There's a ton of decks that just can't beat this, and this gives us like 2 must-answer cards between the Duelcraft Trainer and the Liesa. I'm pretty happy with these. Seeing the Candlegrove Witch here, I think this is kind of the route our deck is going to be taking now. It doesn't seem like we have the means to be in the more control decky style thing. Here, I'm going to take the No Way Out. I don't suspect we're going to end up playing this in our deck here, but we're never playing 2 Blessed Defiances, and I'm not playing Thraben Exorcism, so there is a world where this is okay. Okay, well, Cavity Trapper here amongst all the green goodies. Just the entire blue-green deck hanging out in one pack. just say, give me a Shadow Beast sighting with this, and then the blue-green deck is done. All right, well here, I'm kind of interested in Kathar's Call. This plays much better in the kind of like sacrificey style deck, but we're not playing any of these other cards otherwise. Okay, well here we only have a Sun Gold Barrage. Ooh, the Flare Faith, both the Flare Faith and the Search Party Captain table. That's pretty fantastic. I'm just going to take the Flare Faith. Very much like the previous pick with the Trapper and the Cathar Commando. If it comes down to having one of these, I would rather have one Flare Faith as opposed to one Search Party Captain. Gotta remember how good these Flare Faiths are. It's easy for me to forget. It makes me feel like I'm just playing a combat trick. But let's get this sorted out. Oh, I might want to play the Cathar Call. Trying to get my spells sorted out here, out from my units. Probably not playing Hobbling Zombie. This is much more challenging than I ever anticipated. I didn't know it could be so hard just to drag cards around, but Wizards is out here letting me know what a dum-dum I am. Okay. Way out can come over. All right. Yeah, so it's kind of a bit of the struggle that we ran into in the previous pack, where we at least have 6 early plays now. I'd like to find a little bit more, but we'll see. Because like kind of as this deck stands, if we're going to be on the aggressive side of things, we won't want to play Hobbling Zombie. Like, where does that get us? Guess it's not horrible. As we take all these green and red cards here at the end. But like, I mean, as far as this deck goes, like the removal is decent. If we're looking at the removal pile here with the Silver Bolts, the Flare Faith, Infernal Grasp, and such, these are all fine. This will get us at kind of like 16 cards before we start adding in the filler way down here onto the right. Okay. Ooh, and Brutal Cathar. Beautiful, beautiful. So he's a super easy take, but I do want to stop and see what we can potentially get back out of this. I don't think Rite of Oblivion will ever table. Would be sweet if it did, but I don't think that's going to be a thing. There is a world where we get like a Defense Trade or a Midnight Ambush out of this. Probably not happening either. I think we could probably find Crawl from the Cellar or Soulgrift Guide on the way back, though. That would be kind of nice. Nothing to help the early side of our curve, but potential playables on the wheel. Alright, and this pack sucks. I'm just going to go with the Homestead Courage now that I think we've kind of accepted that we're more of an aggressive deck. I would like to take the land, but we're kind of scrounging for playables here a little bit. And these packs are not helping. I mean, this is just a dud of a pack, but you know, don't think we ever play the Sanctifier, but I mean, we're not ever playing any of these other cards. I'm not going to... We already have 2 Silver Bolts. I'm not going to play any of those. Okay, well, here's at least some cheap dudes. I'm looking at just the Cathar Commando here. We don't have the sacrifice effects to make the Unruly Mob worth it. I would like one more 4-drop, but the 2s are just way more important than the 4s now. Okay, so Homestead Courage number 2. Again, probably won't play it, but we'll play it before we play No Way Out. Right, then finish out the top end with Soulgrift Guide. We got really lucky in that last video and didn't do too much drawing of Sunset Revelry. I was glad that we didn't have to run into that too much. Let's see. Nothing playable here, so we'll just take the uncommon. The Blessed Defiance will never make the cut here. Go ahead and move it out. Not going to play 2 Sun Gold Barrages, but we'll add it in. And this is probably where we're going to be stuck from this point forward. And so, not that bad. Didn't really get to fix our problem of the early game plays, but I think we have a reasonable collection of cards here that can certainly do some work. Alrighty, we're not playing the Celestis Sanctifier. Can't remember if there at this point if there was anything else we could potentially wheel. That was the pack that had like the gold card in it. Yeah, we didn't wheel any of the removal spells here either. Oh, got a kitty right here, here at the end. Say what up, people? What up? What up, kitty? All right, let's get the rest of this sorted out. Could actually play Arrogant Outlaw. I'm not really excited about it, but we do still have like a Celestis Sanctifier hanging out in our deck here. So he's at least a little bit more aggressive than that thing. All right, so it looks like we're just going to have to make a couple of cuts here. I know I'm looking to take the Mind Rot out. Let's see, let's look at it this way. As we kind of had it sorted, I don't think we want to cut out any of these twos. I'm not like really amped about playing Homestead Courage, but it's been growing on me in quality. What's our unit count at? 16, technically 17, because we have the Cathar's Call in here, which I think is reasonable to play. There's a lot of decks that have trouble just beating this, but we don't have a lot of ways to just take advantage of it. It is nice. The Vigilance can be like surprisingly nice in this format, but like that's the one we're looking to take out. The Sanctifier isn't very good. Want to keep the one Sun Gold Barrage. I think Arrogant Outlaw has made the cut. We look down here. Spells and kind of units. I think at this point we're okay to have everything left of our lands, right? The 2 Trappers, Homestead Courages, sure. Awakeners and 2 removals, that's fine. So good stuff for some kitty pets. Our 2s, we wish we had a little bit more, but Cathar, Flare Faith, these all look fine. Definitely happy with the Brutal Cathar. I only ever want to play 1 Sun Gold Barrage, that's fine here. Our big collection of rares. Yeah, I think that's okay. And so I'm looking at really just taking out the Sanctifier and the Hobbling Zombie. We just don't have it. Well, the Sanctifier is just not good, and then we don't have any combos with the Hobbling Zombie. But No Way Out is certainly not going to be an all-star in this deck. We'd have literally no sacrifice cards. So it's just a Mind Rot. I'm not real amped about that. Okay, so the Cathar's Call. The Hobbling Zombie at least can do some attacking, right? He has Death Touch and tends to get in for a couple points of damage, but that's all he's doing here. Oh, kitty. He's going to walk on my keyboard. But yeah, I think that's it. I think we're okay. I do see things like Blessed Defiance and think, well, maybe, but all right. I think this is good. Let's get to the battle. All right, off we go. So yeah, I mean, this was. I was glad we really touched on a lot of those topics because this is kind of exactly what I feel like a lot of the problems of these white black decks are. Is you want to end up in that kind of like sacrifice deck, but then just actual none of the cards ever show up. And so here we can mulligan this. Well, I mean, Brutal Cathar is quite powerful, but I don't. It wants to be played like in a curve. It doesn't want to be a bad Oblivion Ring. So take a mulligan. Not much better, but it's at least passable. But yeah, like the sacrifice outlets, like we saw the one Ecstatic Awakener. I don't think we saw. We saw the one Awakener. We didn't see any of the removal spell. We didn't see any of the white-black bear. And so we weren't, really picking up anything in those terms. And then I think it turned out safe. Here we can aggro the Siege Zombie, Hobbling Zombie ready to block. Not too exciting against this aggro-ish deck here, but more than happy to trade off with the Veteran. If we're going to end up in a race, the Veteran just makes them win every race. All right, let's start pinging with the Siege Zombie. I said we'd only do it once or twice throughout the entirety of the draft, and looks like we'll get him out of the way right here at the beginning. Am I willing to trade any of these removal spells for a Candlegrove Witch? I don't think so. We're hurting now. Down 2 cards. All right, Kathar's Call here to just amp up the siege zombie. All right. So we can't do too much here. We just have to tap the Candlegrove Witch again. This other tapped creatures you control have Death Touch. Other untapped creatures you control have Hexproof. Pay 1 and tap it to untap something else or a land. Okay. That's going to be annoying. So we can't tap anything here because all those dudes have Hexproof. I mean, we can look to just like Flare Faith something down. I think I'm kind of okay with that. Then we have to Infernal Grasp off the Sawrath. Or we could just prevent the damage with our human token. I like cleaning out some of this board. Paying the double black is okay. Alright. Well, we're making something happen. If we can deal with these flyers, then we should have a pretty tough time ever attacking through our little collection of humans. Oh shit, we missed the tap. Oh, that's bad. That's extremely bad. That's the reduces the race by 2, gives him 2 turns. F. Not awesome. Not awesome. Right, well, here's Soul Griff Guide to hopefully save the day. Feel much better if we were at 7 though. Right, we can deal with the Burly Breaker. We can just block it forever. But now we die to like random combat tricks and stuff, and I'm not really happy about that. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. We're gonna die to like the +2/+2, aren't we? So brutal just missing that. Makes me sad. Vanquish the Horde. Wow. Alrighty then. Alright. Well. It's a little unfortunate. That's okay. It's alright, I tell you. It's these mulligans are so brutal, though, being on the play and just being down 2 cards and limited. But alright, moving on. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we had it good there for so long. I'm really surprised that they haven't moved on to some, like, one of the mulligan things, like every other game has it, to where you just like pick the cards you don't want and send them away and redraw. Here, this is fine enough. Like, I get that it makes like combo decks and it makes certain decks a lot better, but it seems to like really alleviate the problems where you just have not fun games. No attacks, my man. Playing against the old green-white again. I was like, land, please. One-time dealer. Now, let's read this. We're definitely playing this thing, but whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, exile a card from a graveyard. If a creature was exiled, drain. Your eccentric farmer is going to have to do more work. We aren't going to let it be easy. And this is a pretty tempting place to just pass, at least in terms of flipping our unit. I'm more than happy to just like Sun Gold barrage away this Dawnhart Mentor. I mean, maybe we should have like attacked and tried to cut purse it because he's just going to block it all the time. But it should be relatively tough for him to flip this thing back down, given that you know, it could be a little challenging to play 2/2/2s. Okay. How do we feel about going ahead and just like silver bolting off the Loyal Griff? I think I like it. It also lets us get a drain out of our Glutton. Alright. Making some magic happen. Whoa. Bringing the aggros, huh? Alright, well, it's a race. That's it. Let's send it. Oh, these are in my graveyard. We don't need to do that. If they were creatures, we'd consider it, but I don't want to just remove our other cards. Okay. This just gives Werewolf's haste, doesn't give all of his units haste. Alright, that can resolve. Let's not skip over tapping his stuff this time. We've remembered things need to tap. Alright, he's still bringing the thunder. think this is where we end up killing the Dawnheart Mentor with the cut burst. No blocks? Oh, next 2 blockers, okay. Double block our glutton. Oh, Bounding Wolf just hits flyers. Whoa, that's it? You're dead. Rip. All right. We win the game. I didn't realize Bounding Wolf had reach. That's weird. The things you learn. Yeah, figure out what the cards actually do. All right. Oh man, I'm in a new chair and I don't like it. I had a DX Racer for like 5 years. It's like how long it took the padding to wear out. It's pretty happy with the purchase there. Here, this isn't exciting, but I think we have to hang on to it. And then it was like I was looking to get a new one, and I got into like reading reviews, and I fell down like the trap of believing the reviews too much. That kind of just said like, you're just paying for like streamer advertising, and you know the chairs out there now are just like all of the similar to the same quality. Not fucking true. Like I feel not super happy in the quality of the knockoff chairs. So we'll get over it. I'll just deal with this thing for like 6 months and I'll go back to buying a real chair. So this leaves us in kind of a spot. Like I don't really want to trade with his Novice Occultist. Feels like he has the removal spell in his hand. But like what else are we really getting out of this turn? Right? It feels like he's holding on to flip the switch. I mean, I guess this is okay. He's just going to be out here trying to get a trade. We could certainly have worse. This is a pretty aggro take on what we're doing here. Like, if he blocks with the Occultist, it's okay. If he has, like, Nebelgast, we can tap it. And then, okay. He has Rotten Reunion. And say this is the kind of hand that lets us, like, line up a really good Brutal Cathar on our next turn. No blocks, interesting. Like, if he needs something to sacrifice off, he can sacrifice off the zombie. Oh, we'll wait till the end of the turn before we try and tap something. Come the damages. Yep. It would have been so nice if that was a defense trait and we were able to Flare Faith through it with the Indestructible. Alright, well we got half of a card already out of the Trespasser. Seems like a pretty good deal. If he wants to play removal spells on it, he's going to have to discard a card. Tons and tons of value. It's the appropriate amount of value to be getting out of cards. It's tons and tons. He's down to 1 card now. I mean, this is kind of like those previous games where I feel pretty good just like flipping the Trespasser here. Well, no, the Cathar's too good. I was thinking that he had the lethal damage to put on it. He does not. This can also be pretty powerful. Like, if we go into next turn and he just doesn't have any cards to play, right? He's down to one card. If he can't do anything to keep our units from flipping, then we can essentially reflip our zombies and remove a second unit with the Cathar. Lots of potential there. Scab Wrangler. Okay. I think that's where we're going to find ourselves. I mean, he has trouble tapping our dudes, right? All of our dudes have... Well, if we get the flip, the Cathar will have Ward and the Trespasser will have Ward. So this is like one of the actual best boards you could have against a Scab Wrangler. It's kind of insane. But how big of a block do we ever get with this Trespasser? Like, this is just too good of a Flare of Faith to pass up on. Oh, you can't tap it. You gotta discard cards for that. It says, oh shit, bust. Oh shit. I've been pretty happy with this guy. We would not be having this similar attitude if this was a novice occultist on the board. It says, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, I think we're in a pretty good space here. We could have played Siege Zombie, but I'm just looking to like tap his stuff at this point. We'll do it at the end of the turn. Nice, there's the flip. All of our units just got real good. Oh, he's got the bounce. It's like, if he wants... Ooh, well, bounce isn't that bad. We can just replay our unit now. It's like, if we get the reflip, it's pretty big. Okay. And this game's done. Nice. Nice. GG's. Look at our rares. Such power. Okay. Ready for battle. Alright, so what are we working with here? Boy, Graveyard Trespasser, I guess our girl. Graveyard Trespasser back in the mix. I think this is a reasonable keep. It's not super strong, but it's got 4 cards that cost 3 or less in the mana to play them, so we're going to roll with it. Opponent went down to 6. Should we just start with the Ecstatic Awakener? I kind of autopiloted that one, just slamming the unit down, but oh, that's not bad, dude. We're gonna have to get the work out of this trespasser here. Not too bad against the Disturb deck, assuming they can't kill it. All right. Ready for action. Sucks to have to play it as like our first unit, but I mean, if at the end of the day this card removes this Covetous Castaway, gets a removal spell, also gets a discard, and then just completely eats up their third turn, like that's not a bad deal. I've certainly got worse deals than that in my lifetime. Looks like it might be getting locked in the cemetery. That was his play. He's tapping his mana all special like to make sure he had the blue left over. What do you think, kitty? Candle Trap, sure. So we'll get the discard. I mean, we still got a unit, a perfectly reasonable unit to just sacrifice to the Ecstatic Awakener as well. Quite good. Been putting in work, Trespasser. We can even still attack with it, right? Oh no, it's Candle Trapped. I was thinking in terms of locked in the cemetery, still being able to attack with it. I think we just stop. I'm not really in a hurry here. So if they come in, like I would have to assume that they're going to drop a combat trick on us. I think we just have to accept it at this point. I mean, we could just put Ecstatic Awakener in front of Ambitious Farmhand and see what happens. And then if he can't flip it, if he wants to play a thing, then we potentially have a Sun Gold Barrage. Oh, hang on. Wrong button. 2 blockers. I think I'm okay with this. Let's see what he does. He's the one that has to act first. Okay. Not sure if I like that. Was that too cutesy? Because like if at the end of the day we like get to draw the card and then he just trades. Might have been too cutesy. But we're making stuff happen now. Let's get the Siege Zombie down. I didn't want to play Homestead Courage this turn in the event that we want to play a Sun Gold Barrage. But I think we can get that going next turn. We could still tap whatever he targets with the Dualcraft Trainer. Okay. Turns out there is something we'd like to Sun Gold Barrage. Does that still work? Does that? I haven't ran into this where it's on the resolution. I don't think it works. Right, it's on the start and the end. You have to have the coven. Righty, we used our siege zombie real good. Now we can get in for damages with the vampire interloper. Do we want to just make it a 4/3? Not opposed to that. All right, do your thing, vampire. Okay. Let's get the 1, 2, 3 again. That's fine. We can just take 3 from the Dualcraft Trainer. I'll tap the double striker. Well, we probably should have just like thrown away our trespasser at this point. Right, he can Candle Grove it away. I'm happy enough with that. He doesn't have to spend the mana to do it, but he's eventually just going to get a good attack out of that thing, or a good removal out of it. F. That's not good. That's probably enough to end the game. Do you want him to flip? If he flips, he loses his coven. But if he doesn't flip, then he gets the coven, but he has the shitty unit on the board. Okay, no blocks. Kind of surprised to see him do this. I think we race a little bit better than them here. Gotta make sure our siege zombies are up and running though. We can't can't be passing on our siege zombies when games are this close. What happens if something goes wrong? If we leave the hobbling zombie back. I think we should not be too aggressive here. If we're just gonna play Liesa, he probably can't do anything about her. Hopefully can't do anything about her. He's been sitting on those 2 cards for a while. He has the counter spell here. This is kind of bad, but if she resolves, I'm gonna feel pretty good about this. What are you looking in your graveyard for? He's clicking on his graveyard. F. Okay. That's brutal. Now we missed out on damage because we don't have our siege zombie online. F. Alright, well, we could take the damage for one more turn. Our ground attacks aren't good anymore. Devious cover-up. Brutal. Alright, well, we drew some rares. Alright, might as well just come out here and draw a rare, I guess. Might as well. No, he's not flipped. I made this mistake a lot in Constructed. Well, it's not a mistake. We just have to play the unit, but expecting it to be on the front side and then it not. Okay. Of course. All right. Delver Seeker. It's just frustrating. This Delver Seeker is so bad and limited, right? Even if you have like a completely jacked deck full of spells at like 10, then being at 25% to hit is not very good. And then if you're more realistic at like 6 or 7, just what a way to go. All right, well, on to the next one. We can hang on to this one. We got our interloper going, and still, I mean, that game could have been a lot different if we'd roll all the way back to that turn to where we didn't use our Ecstatic Awakener. Then we could have potentially had some big plays there. I think that was likely just a big mistake on our end, not using the Awakener. Like, I think I should have been okay with, like, losing the dude and then kind of trading the card in hand for our dude and then us still being up a card from the sacrifice. But we did get a lot of use out of the what's he called, though. All right, so let's see how this one goes. Again, kind of, playing against blue-white. Hopefully they just don't have an answer to Liesa, assuming we're able to play her at some point. Again, this is one of these matchups where if they have to play like Locked in the Cemeteries and such on her, it's not super appealing. This is okay. If we get him just to go ahead and spend the mana on the Hobbling Zombie, it's not going to be doing any like big trading up in this game. I think this is okay. Should we have just played her first? I mean, it makes it obvious. We probably should have just played her first. We'll remember that for next time. Ever a non-token creature you control dies, return it at the end step. Alright, well, I'm just not attacking with Liesa. I'm not going to have her die to rando combat tricks. Alright, so if we want to take down the Stormrider Spirit, we have to just play the Cut Purse. Otherwise, we're just going to be kind of slow about it. I think that's fine. We'll get our Interloper back anyways, then we can get this Awakener value eventually. Look at these. Look at these big time combos we have with the Liesa and sacrificing this cut purse to the Awakener. Pretty cool. I love a good big time combo. Some people would just call that a synergy, but nah, big time combos is what we're about. Ooh, that was a big disturb. That's fine. We can make enough usage out of her sacrifice effect to not be really worried about that. Then I get my unit back. Oh, it comes back at the end of the turn. It's even gotten here. We can technically hit the Covetous Castaway with our Soulgriff Guide, but I think I'd rather just go ahead and get rid of the good unit while we can. I mean, he's out of cards in hand though, so I mean, we could look to get rid of this Faithful Mending, and then use the Sun Gold Barrage onto the Covetous Castaway. I think that's fine. Yep. That seems really good for us. And I'm gonna miss out on the ultimate value in the outlaw here. he can live without doing the Doom Beast impression and just start attacking. Y'all know what Doom Beast is, right? Show of hands, who knows what Doom Beast is compared to not? I'd say most people know. Slowly acquiring some base magicians into the channel. Not all Runeterra folks. Can technically just attack and see if we can just like cut purse. I think I'm okay with that. Doesn't take the bait. Sure. Alright, well we need to get this damage going. This Mysterious Tome will eventually cause us some problems. Okay. You got it. Interesting. He doesn't. It seems like you'd want to be activating the tome at every opportunity. Oh, I mean, I guess I understand playing the Hook Hunt Drifter. He knows we have the Soul Grift Guide in our hand, but interesting. Man, it's just a little bit awkward, but I think this is okay. I'd like to be able to tap here. Sure. Can he kill our Griff Guide? I mean, I'd like to be able to attack with the Vigilance unit, but doesn't seem that relevant. At least not here. I mean, I guess we could have put it on the Griff God and tried to protect it with the Flare Faith, but so what's gonna happen is he's just gonna take all this. Take 6. Okay. Alrighty. Well, it took a while, but yeah, that's the big power of Liesa as well. Not even attacking with her, just having that recurring ability happening. One of the weaknesses to blue-white and blue-green and base blue decks in general. Not a bad way to start off the week. Maybe we'll get this one up all the way. Starting off the week. This is the way. I don't want to forget about, like, I do a week in review thing on the site. We're at ftpbus.com. I don't directly post it to YouTube because it's not something I want just like kind of popping up there, but I haven't quite decided if we want to just run that on. I've been putting it out on Fridays. I think that's reasonable. I'll forget about it, but I don't think I've done it on the same day twice. So it's really the consistency that matters has not been happening, and so I want to get a little bit better at that. Sure. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him with this graveyard trespasser he's not expecting. Oh, just mills 3 lands, huh? Guess that is not what he needed. And we'll just go ahead and take the bait hook angler. I mean, he can cast Otherworldly Gaze if he wants, but we have to be too worried about it. Okay, well we can survive that. I think this is gonna be bonkers good. Right, because we're not gonna play cards this turn. It's gonna flip. He's gonna Silverbolt, have to discard a card, and then we get to Flare Faith, protect our unit. I think this is gonna be choice. So he's got all this graveyard for us to take advantage of. Oh man. I'm ready for it. Oh man, he's doing it. He's doing it. Oh boy. All right, discard the card. Oh, I gotta hold control. Jesus. I'm not sure if if the stack was gonna stop. All right, I at least jumped in and held control. Oh no, you're a werewolf now. Oh, hang on. Oh, this isn't as awesome as I wanted. Aww. No, we were gonna do cool stuff. F. I was ready for it. Dang. Our stuff is not nearly as cool now. Oh, we can press control again. Damn. So I guess, well, we couldn't have gotten around that, right? We didn't have a spell to play to keep our dude on board. All right, but we can potentially cause some problems with this Moonrage Brute if we're able to play 2 spells and get it to flip to the regular side. I think in playing limited with the Brutal Cathar, I think we have ran into opponents that stacked 3 units up underneath it. Just a little ridiculous. But again, it's another one of these cards that plays fantastically against blue-white if their plays are going to be, things like Locked in the Cemetery or Bounce Spells or whatever. So maybe he'll just flip it for us. You never know. Some people are nice like that. Not a lot for us to do here. I'm not going to just add... Well, I mean, maybe we should have just added the cut purse, but... I think I would rather maintain our ways to play 2 cards in a turn if we ever draw another land. I mean, I could realistically seeing us on our next turn just like attacking with the Brute and then playing both Flare of Faith and Sun Gold Barrage onto his Sarah Angel. Gotta draw land for those kind of shenanigans, but I could see it. He just never blocks, right? Okay. He had a card. That's not fair. He's not supposed to have cards at this point. He's supposed to flip our Cathar back. Alright, let's just get our big unit on board. Not a lot to target. I mean, we can try and pop this this flashback card, but he's just going to replay it. I wanted to see if there was anything like particularly strong that we wouldn't want him to shuffle back into his deck, so we can just hit like Silverbolt. Right, because if we target the spell, he's just going to play it. He's just going to play it anyways here. Right, this is going to be the end of his turn. But if he hits like Coven Castigator, whatever the 3/4 Disturb is that shuffles cards back into your deck. Rather prevent some of those. Not bad, not bad. Alright, we're getting real close. Yeah, like, he has to play the flyer next turn. Otherwise, we can just, like, double tap his stuff. Right, he's got this Chaplain of Arms in the graveyard. He's in this space. We might be able to just get him with the damage anyways. See if they tap out and we can just win the game. Homestead Courage, Chaplain of Arms, Otherworldly Gaze. Okay. Got him. Okay, next battle. What do we got here? Oh boy, on the draw. This is kind of sketch. Like if this wasn't Sun Gold Barrage, if this was just kind of anything else, I'd feel a little bit better about it. But we have a 2-drop and a removal spell, which should tide us over for a while. Just mulligan until we hit our rares, right? I think that's the play. Interloper. I got one of those too, my man. Curious, like, against black-red, I have to assume that we're going to be the control deck. I wonder if this is a space where we should just come out here and Infernal Grasp the Interloper away. But we are getting hard punished for keeping the 4 land as we immediately draw 2 land off the top. We're going to have to draw some good cards quick. Like if he has one of these draws to where he hits for the 2 damage and then has like the 4-cost vampire that gives you 3 mana, you're gonna be pretty hosed. Still, even if he no plays here, we're still pretty hosed as we draw our 3rd land in a row. Okay. Oh man, I was like, come on, just play a 5-drop we can kill. Oh, this sucks so much ass. Alright. Oh, we at least drew a card that wasn't a land. Yep. Oh, we're just gonna get savaged here, aren't we? Yep. Are we just dead? Pretty close to it. Oh, I'm pretty sure we're dead. We can't beat a Thermo Alchemist. Okay. And so it's a bit unfortunate. I've had this like happen a few. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where you're probably just never winning that game when things happen like that. You're expecting like a bit of luck to happen your way, keeping the 4 landers. But even if you only draw like 1 land in the top 3, then things tend to be okay. But keeping a 3-card hand and then just immediately drawing 3 land was just too much to overcome. Like maybe if we're playing against blue-black it'll work out, but we probably realistically should have mulliganed that hand, right? I think if our hand was even if it's something like the vampire, the infernal touch, whatever it's called, and then not Sun Gold Barrage, like something like defense straight or just anything else, then maybe that's okay. But it's probably too greedy to keep a situational card like that when our deck is trying to be more aggressive. Like we want the Sun Gold Barrage to be like a tempo play. That's why we kept saying, hey, maybe you'll play a 5-drop and we can we can just barrage it. We were looking for tempo plays there, not that. I think that was definitely a mistake. I mean, uh, drawing 3 lands in a row is kind of whatever. We made that initial mistake there that was pretty problematic, and so there's not enough decks where that draw works out good. I don't think. But nonetheless, let's get this deck list pulled up. We'll talk about it a little bit more. Okay, so how do we do these? See, we're getting back up close to diamond. I was gonna say our progress seemed to be tracking reasonably well. I had a pretty bad week this week, kind of earlier on, as we see some of these like a 1-3, 2-3, 1-3. There's a 7-0, but the string of runs was kind of depressing. But nonetheless, back to the deck that we were just playing. I think this turned out okay, and I was pretty happy with how the draft went. Again, like drafting these white-black decks, I think the big question we're asking ourselves are we playing this control decky engine style deck, or are we playing a more aggressive white-based deck? And I think we had the options to kind of jump into the control-y strategy, but the cards never showed up. And so I think we did pretty reasonably assess that, okay, well, we're going to be doing the attacking here, and we're not going to be having this deck to where we have, a sacrifice outlet and an occultist and an Odric's Outrider and stuff. We just literally didn't see any of those cards. And so I'm glad we didn't force ourselves down that path. But some of my takeaways from this, I think in this deck we need to value the Ecstatic Awakener higher. This is fantastic in both the aggressive deck and in the control deck. Gives us a sacrifice outlet or a reasonably aggressive unit, and so he's pretty big. And then otherwise, it was just kind of these expensive cards. We knew Liesa was already a nutter. I am glad that we got in that game. Where we got to show, the full power of having Liesa on the board, even when your opponent sort of answers her with removal. We knew Brutal Cathar was just nutsos as well. We didn't have any of those games where we got 2 and 3 units stacked underneath it, but being this kind of perennial removal spell is quite strong. And then I was absolutely impressed with Graveyard Trespasser. We did get to use it against Disturb a lot of those occasions, but as long as you're playing against anything that isn't like werewolves, even against werewolves, you might be able to snipe off a Shadow Beast sighting or something, or even if it's just generating a bunch of drains. I think it's quite good as well. And so, I think that was my big takeaway. Those cards were quite good. And then I think in the draft portion, we did get to touch on, hey, am I a control deck or not, and touch that quite well. The Vampire Interlopers were what really kind of pushed us towards being being more on the aggressive side. And so, I think this turned out good. I think the draft went well. Again, Liesa was a very easy take. This pack here, if we're not wanting to abandon Liesa, and so if we're taking a white-black card, Siege Zombie is the way to go. This was okay-ish here in this aggressive deck. I mean, it's a bear, and it has that tap ability if the board stalls. It's just not one of the kind of premier early game plays. This is one of the things where I'm calling out where it's like, it wants to be in the control deck, but in certain decks, like if you're playing blue-black zombies, you might look at Siege Zombie as being kind of like a 3-star almost, like a 3 out of 5 or like a 6.5 out of 10 or so. But in this style of deck, he's very average to low quality, and so this is kind of one of the concepts we've been trying to talk about a lot here recently, is making sure you're putting the right cards in the right deck, and this definitely wants to be in a control deck shell. But things continued on fine. I was happy with the Infernal Grasp here. I think we kind of nailed everything that was going on with this pack. The good discussion here was, if the Infernal Grasp isn't here, what do we take? And I think we probably would have ended up with Digraph Horde. At the end of the day, we would have wanted the Candlegrove Witch. And maybe we should just be taking the Candlegrove Witch here anyways, like just to make sure we have a 2-drop. Kind of the flip side of putting the right unit in the right deck. Sometimes, you just got to have enough, you got to have enough bears. And so it fills that gap to where Digraph Horde would be reasonably replaceable in white-black. But Infernal Grasp was the easy take here. As we roll on, a lot of these weren't too challenging of picks. Like this is the Hobbling Zombie is the only playable black card. Ritual of Hope is good if you're aggressive, but we didn't know how that was going to play out. Here, Ecstatic Awakener, again, we're going to start valuing this much higher in white-black. I think that's a pretty strong take. You're the only black or white card. Silver Bolts because we don't have any removals yet. And then the Vampire Interlopers start in. So yeah, I think that was a pretty easy pack 1. Getting at here at the end of pack 2 with the second Vampire Interloper, I think that's where we got to say, all right, boss, you kind of had the opportunity to draft a control deck, but the cards aren't here. And so I think the second Interloper is where we really needed to kind of lock in that the Odric's Outrider build around thing just isn't happening, and that turned out to be quite important in this pack in pick 2. Where Morbid Opportunist is absolutely fantastic in the Sacrifice deck and the Aristocrats deck, but we went with the Graveyard Trespasser. It's a little bit better at being aggressive, and I was quite happy with that pick. I think that distinction we made that we're being aggressive is quite important there. Then otherwise, I feel like these packs are pretty straightforward. Pack 2 did not do us any favors. A lot of these cards were pretty weak. Whenever we are seeing the Candlegrove Witches, they're stacked up with just more important cards. And so I don't think there was too much going on the rest of the way. We click on pack 3 real quick. Didn't get to wheel anything out of these. It's tough seeing packs like this with all the removal spells. The Defense Trade, a Midnight Ambush, and even the Crawl from the Cellar we wanted, and just nothing tabling out of it. Pack 9 was a bunch of turds. So that was a bit unfortunate, but nonetheless, I think this turned out okay. So yeah, I think that is going to do it for us today. I hope you all learned how to play with your Big Tom combos a little bit better. You maybe learned a thing or two along the way. Had a good time watching. Oh shit, this is bust, but I always forget about these rewards, man. It's so much easier in Runeterra where the stuff just kind of like pops up when it's supposed to. So I'm not restarting anything. Let's click on these and then we'll say have a nice day. Let's get on this. All right, Tovalar the Never Drafted. Welcome to the squad. What else do we got? Rockfall Vale, cool. I'm curious. I don't know if we already have 4 of these. We start to get gems out of this, right? We're at 2840. Apparently we didn't have 4. Okay. And our last one. Last but not least. What do we got? Rockfall Vale. 2840. All right, I guess that was our 4th one. All right. And so for real, that's going to do it for us today, everybody. Thank you for being here.